Hey, I'm Hawk, and today I want to talk about taverns. I love the idea of a medieval tavern, and I always look for new games where you get to run a tavern or where you interact with a tavern in some way outside of just going there in between quests. So today's list is about 4 tavern video games where you manage a tavern or can manage a tavern that I think are really good and you should definitely check out if you like management games or, are interested in taverns specifically. This list is in no particular order. I think all of these games are great. I do kind of have 2 favorites of the list. We'll get into those as we go on, but it's in no order of, best to worst or worst to best. They're all great in general. So, starting off at number 1, we have Traveler's Rest. This game, I bought it when it was first released in early access, and I played it a ton back then. I only just recently started picking it up again, having interest in it, and the game has changed dramatically since I first started. Basically, they've added a bunch of new stuff that just made the game better in general, including a story. The story seems pretty cool. I haven't beaten it. Full disclosure, I haven't gotten too far in the story, but it's pretty interesting, a good premise. You have this kingdom that kind of relies on taverns, and you just bought this rundown tavern after a drunken night, and you get to manage this place and rebuild it from really nothing. It's a really interesting take on the tavern genre, I guess, if that is its own genre, and I really appreciate how you start off like serving people. You start off cleaning, and you have to clean tables, you serve people, but the systems where you get to make alcohol and make food and then store them the way you do, it's kind of unlike any other tavern type game that I've seen, so I really appreciated that. You also get a pet cat, which I love cats. I love cats more than anything, so I always appreciate when you get a cat in a game. But after you've served enough people and run the tavern for long enough, made enough money, and hopefully haven't made too many bad financial decisions, you can wind up hiring on staff, and they wind up taking up the management, and you could focus more on brewing new types of alcohol, and the system for the alcohol brewing is pretty deep, actually. It's great. But you make different types of alcohol, and the cherry on top of the cake is that you could name all of it. So you can make your own specific brews and serve them up, and it's just a fun time. I definitely recommend this one. At number 2, we have a pretty new game that's in early access called In Tycoon. It's very similar to the game that I'm going to talk about next, but it looks like it went a little further in the graphics department and has the potential to either be a little more casual or maybe add stuff that may surpass the next one that I'm going to talk about. But it'll make sense then. But in this one, it's like a top-down view. You can see the gameplay in here. You manage a tavern that without as much hands-on stuff as Traveler's Rest. You kind of just place the tables, you make the shape of the tavern, you have your kitchen, you expand as you can with money coming in, but the tavern runs itself, so it's much more chill, it's a lot less hands-on, but it's a nice zen tavern management game. Like I said, it's really new, it's not too deep yet at the moment, but it's promising, and I think it's worth checking out. At number 3, we have Tavern Master. So, Tavern Master came out, I believe, a couple years ago at this point, and it's the more in-depth version of the last one that we talked about, In Tycoon. It has the benefit of having been around for longer, so there's more systems to it, it's a little bit deeper, but it kind of works similar to the last one, where you make the layout of your tavern, you put your tables down, you put your bar down, make the kitchen once you get there, and the tavern, it kind of runs itself, and you just watch it and make sure nothing catastrophic happens. This one goes a little more in the fantasy realm, where you have different races, and the different races within this world eat different things and drink different things. I think elves are vegetarian, for instance, but it's also a little bit slower, where you won't make as much money as fast, and you have to really grind up, your research and different aspects of it so you could expand the tavern over time, and eventually you could wind up running an inn part of it, where people come and you have rooms and they sleep in the rooms, and that makes you a lot of money. I really love this one. It's my second favorite game on the list, and it's really worth checking out if you want a more in-depth tavern management system. Like, you have to keep on top of the alcohol levels, you have to refill your barrels and everything, and you have to refill your kitchen supplies. You even wind up getting a round table with knights that you could send on quests to get specific items that you can't buy otherwise. There's a lot to this one, and if you like the more in-depth tavern management side of things, this is definitely worth it. And even though this list isn't ordered, I did save the best, in my opinion, for last, with our number 4, which is the Guild 2 Renaissance. And this is specifically the Guild 2 Renaissance, not just the Guild 2. Those are 2 different games. But the Guild 2 Renaissance is by far my favorite game on this list, and it's a hell of a lot more than just a tavern simulator or a tavern running game. You could basically run anything in this game. You wind up making a class, so to speak. You pick a profession, and that profession has a umbrella of different things that you can manage within it. So if you want to run a tavern, you have to pick the patron profession, and you could wind up being a farmer, you could wind up being a baker, you could wind up running a tavern, and at some point, if you're doing things right, you'll wind up running all of these things. But the tavern has stuff that it needs to produce things. So this game has a lot of product chains and manufacturing chains and trade and all that fun stuff. But the tavern needs wheat, for instance, to make porridge, and it needs fruit to make alcohol, and then it needs wheat and fruit, or wheat and alcohol to make, mead, drinkable alcohol. Effectively, you wind up distilling it. It's got a whole lot of deep systems. It's really old and really janky. It's, I believe, some European country made this game, so it's got Euro jank. But it's definitely worth going through the hoops to get it to run on a modern operating system. And I think this game is worth preserving and exploring in every facet if you get the opportunity or want to put the work in to get it stable. And that's it. That's 4 tavern simulator management games that I really love. You probably haven't heard of most, if not all of them, and I think they're all definitely worth checking out. So let us know what you think down below, and thanks for watching.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Give us a like if you enjoyed it, and dislike it if you didn't.
Let us know what you think about the channel.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Tell your mom.